our actions here do affect places around the world, and we are no longer disconnected. We are connected in this global system, and so global citizenship fosters that global sense of connectedness and responsibility towards other in the world. The global problems that we face today and on such a scale demand global solutions and demand that kind of cooperation and sense of community that I think the concept of global citizenship can foster.
At the very core, the Canada World Youth Program is based on a true partnership between, two individuals from two very different cultures, different language. It does mean a lot to learn someone else's language and to experience another person's culture. I think it broadens your perspectives on many things. Some problems could be solved by two sides coming and sitting down and actually talking, and not just talking, but trying to understand the other person. I think that's the thing I've learned the most, is that sometimes I need to just stop talking and listen. The other day, my counterpart asked me, what's the deal with this Afghanistan war? I didn't know Canada was at war. Why? You guys are Canada. Why are you guys fighting in the war, right? So I think it's sometimes those questions from the outside that really, got me thinking, oh, why are we at war? Yeah.
Internationalism and global solidarity is the key. It is the key in a way that when we understand each other, we stop blaming each other. I have people who think that people are poor because they are lazy. That is not the case. People are poor because they have no choice. They have nothing to depend on, so they are poor. And some people back home, they are poor, but they think, what are the Western is doing? And they keep blaming the Western on all the problems that they have, diseases, hunger, war. They keep blaming the Western. So with internationalism and global solidarity, I believe that is going to stop. People, they will understand each other.
The truth is, when I was looking for some direction in my life and when I was looking for something to do, I didn't know anything about development. I thought that I knew that I had a good hands and a good strong back, and I could, for me it was dig a trench or build a home or show a farmer how to farm. The year I spent with EWB before going overseas, I learned a lot of really basic but really necessary lessons about international development. And that continued to when I got overseas. So when I got overseas, the first thing that struck me was that a Ghanaian farmer knows how to farm. He doesn't need a kid from Saskatchewan who grew up on a farm telling him how to farm. He knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing. For me, it was one of the most profound things that I've ever done. You're always told as a kid that all people are the same, and whether your skin is this color or that or whatever, all people are the same. But for myself anyways, now that I've come home, I just see a Ghanaian as just like me. A Ghanaian farmer is a Saskatchewan farmer, but his challenges are different. And for me, that's a real a lesson that I couldn't have learned unless I had gone overseas.
I don't know, it's always been a calling of mine. I have a lyric in a song I have, it's called Reluctant Warrior. And one of the lyrics says, sometimes I wish I couldn't see, wish I didn't know, wish I wasn't shown. Because there's times when you just, wish you could be blind, wish I could be, just happy with the way things are, and, shiny happy people, as R.E.M. says. So, but I can't, and once it's turned on, you can't shut it off. So the best thing to do is work with it and use it with whatever talent you have, and for me it happens to be music.
Yeah. What's up? This is Equal, representing on this Mills beat at PM Studio, June 23rd, 2009. Yeah, 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 yeah.
We look at internationalism, it's across the board. A lot of the issues, colonization, genocide, it's all the same thing in different pockets, different areas of the world, and the same struggle, basically. And as human beings, we are, fighting a lot of the same battles. And I think it's really important to share and be connected to people in other places for resources, and just to have, you know, to discuss what works and what's not working, and just to have that sense of community, that global community, because it's so important. And thanks for technology for making that a lot easier. So you don't actually have to travel out there and be there in person. You can actually get a lot of this work done just through, you know, internet.
Having that global understanding in our work is absolutely imperative, where we view ourselves as citizens of the globe, because this is really our home. This is a home that we're going to have to make the best of and live with, and provides us with all our needs, and it's really our ability to work together and cooperate that's going to make it work. Part of my strategy is to speak with youth on levels that and using mediums and engagements that we care about. Looking at, I guess, international global justice issues creatively, and seeing how you can use adventure or you can use art as ways to both educate people and organize and mobilize them on different issues. So I guess it's really about speaking to youth in the terms that they speak to each other. I think learning from our elders is absolutely key in all of this. The elders that have made the way, that have you know, been there, that have allowed us to be in this space where we can have empowered voices.
Having a global perspective in a big majority of people might help them to realize connections to everyone else, like that Canada and what we do in our country does have repercussions and consequences and connections to everything else, whether it be positive or negative. And if they had gone somewhere else and seen that connection and things happening in that way, that if the majority of Canadians had that they could see maybe like policies and stuff that have repercussions in other countries, how our government reacts to other countries and organizes with other countries and talks with other countries and stuff like that, and just have a greater sense of a global community and that they are a part of that.
It better equipped me for a lot of things, sort of, you know, basic skills, but also sort of an approach to people, or an approach to a community that you don't necessarily understand, and a way to go about understanding it. The people that I traveled with and that I worked with there, I think you could sense a change, even in some of their basic politics, about you know, how does a certain policy, say a Canadian policy or international policy, how does that affect all these wonderful people that I met in Mozambique? You know, how does that actually play out on the ground? I think it hammers it home. I mean, if you have that understanding to begin with, it hammers it home. If you don't have that understanding, you get met with it full force when you go there.
Well, in Canada World Youth, each program has about 9 Canadian participants, and they're sent down to a developing country, and they're matched with 9 people from that developing country. So in my case, that would be Nicaragua, and each Canadian is paired with the counterpart, and they live together and they work together for the 6 months. All of us were volunteering full-time for an organization called Funarte, and what they did was they promoted children's rights and sustainability. They raised awareness of gender discrimination and gender inequality, and the way they did that was by teaching children about painting, about art, and by creating city murals. And the city we're in, Esteli, is known internationally as a city of murals because it's got all these fantastic murals across the city that deal with issues and just reflect some of the themes that are very important to the kids that do them.
To make a link between global and local is a good way to start, as it's a perfect starting point to making change. If you try and focus on every single problem in the world, it's going to be too much. But if you can focus on a local problem and see the global results, then that's a good way of dealing with problems. Oxfam focuses on women's rights as a way to start dealing with social ills. By dealing with women's rights in the forefront, it'll lead to better circumstances for all people. So it's not that we just focus on women, it's that the results from giving women basic human rights will benefit all people. And it really shows in any kind of disaster, economic, environmental. Women are always the minority group and the ones suffering the most.